Swirly. Welcome back to another episode of these crazy people that just eat meat and can't stop talking about it. We're here with Justin, all out life carnivore, and of course me, Tom, for another epidose of whatever the hell's on our minds about eating meat. So, what are we talking about today, Justin?
Hey, welcome everyone back to the show. Welcome to our humble YouTube channel. If you're new, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell. If you've been here a while, please also hit that like button. Leave a comment. Hit a notification bell. Comments, notifications, likes, these all help the algorithm to let YouTube know that we are here. Of course, whether you're new, whether you've been with us for a while, we go live just about every Sunday evening at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST. I'm surprised I didn't mess that up. And we appreciate shares and likes. And if you do feel that what we bring to the conversation is of value, please do share it with your friends or drive your enemies crazy with it. I don't know, something like
Yeah,
that.
go ahead and send your hate mail to Justin.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes Tom gets the hate mail too, so it's not only me.
Leave your comments on YouTube
Yeah.
so I can check them and tell Justin he's got hate mail.
And we have the Meat Mosaic Facebook group, the Meat Mosaic Telegram group, and we have Autistic Carnivores and our own respective Instagrams as well. So lots of places to find us, ask your questions, and my alloutlife.carnivore Facebook page. So there we go too.
There you go. Yeah, and you can hit my link tree on Facebook or Instagram. Instagram, I'm just Thomas A. Clark. I don't have any fancy monikers. It's just me.
Well, hey, you're just like Raymond Nazon. He never came up with anything fancy either.
Yeah.
But you know, the greats all just have their name: Kelly Hogan, Charles Washington,
There you go.
Raymond Nazon,
Mike Homage is
Mike
here.
Kamaj. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you.
See, and I wasn't doxing him when I said his name was Kevin Smith. He put Kevin Smith himself.
Yes, but
Yes, but
you did it before he did it. See, he doxed himself right
no, he
now.
didn't. He posted in the comments, "This is Kevin Smith." When you don't show up 20 minutes late, then you can start criticizing me.
Hey, I was early last week. We didn't go
No, you
live.
were. You thought you were early and you were still late.
No,
Don't
I
you
was
remember?
early last week. I
Oh,
was
well, we.
legit early last week. We didn't do
Oh,
go
that's right.
live though. We only
We
recorded.
recorded.
So
Yeah.
I can't
Ha!
criticize you.
1 out of 52 times a year. I know it must be rough for you getting lost in your apartment.
Hey,
Your
for
penthouse
some
apartment.
reason, the time between 6:45 and 7:15, it should be a half hour, and I think I can accomplish X, Y, and Z in that half hour, and apparently I cannot.
Um, I think I need to talk to your girlfriend about your scheduling. Uh,
Hey,
You
we
need
we had to discuss the differences
about you freezing. Yeah,
about me freezing
yeah.
between a fitted dress shirt, a regular dress shirt, and a slim dress shirt. All the little nuances. So that took a while.
Mm,
Mm.
mm. You guys live together. You didn't have to do it right then.
That's what I tried to tell her,
Mm,
but she had it up on her laptop, and so had
mm.
to be done. That's just
Well,
how
let's
these
say
things
hi
go.
to
Okay.
Christina before we forget.
Hi, Christina.
It's good to see you. I hope you're feeling good, but slash better.
But yeah, if you're carnivore, you only have to choose between slim and fitted.
Maybe not. I like the comments from you and Ray when you wear a size small shirt. You wear a smaller shirt now than I did in 6th grade. So what's our topic?
Hi, Sarah.
Oh, there's Sarah.
There she is.
Sarah, yeah, we're gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk to you about scheduling Justin. Get him here on time.
What is our topic? It's written somewhere. Oh, folate question
Let,
mark brain energy.
let's
Yeah.
start with the folate since you posted you sent me a link or you sent me a screenshot of a folate concern from a carnivore influencer.
Right. Well, I mean, ask Raymond that. Raymond was looking pretty buff and muscular, and he was a small. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's as small anymore.
Hey, he said he's a small. Just there's a little less breathing room.
uh, yeah, so you sent me a screenshot of a post from Michaela Peterson who said she got her blood work done and her folate was low.
Yeah, and that she was also recovering from a sickness. That poor girl seems to get ill quite a bit still, which is
Well,
kind of
she
interesting.
got the flu.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, we've talked about it many times. Like you and I both used to get crazy sinus infections, right?
Yeah.
So you get allergies. I know me, it would usually start with allergies and then the allergies persisted and then you get sinus infection. What I know probably I got them like at least once a year, sometimes 3 times a year. Right. And that doesn't happen anymore. So I do get I got COVID. There was a respiratory virus going around work. I got a stuffy head from that. Um, People at work are still coughing and sneezing or blowing their noses all the time. So, I mean, when you're exposed to stuff like that, you're gonna still get a flu or respiratory virus or COVID or whatever. It's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to catch stuff, and it's not so much as it's more about, well, depending on who you ask or who you talk to, but about getting caught off guard in that getting you while you're stressed, while you're sleeping isn't good, while you've been maybe having the occasional cheat here and there. Um,
No sunlight because you
no
live
sunlight.
you live in the northern latitudes, or it just happens to be winter. I know it's been unseasonably cloudy and rainy in Southern California, so we're happy for the rain. I'm not
You
complaining.
stole our rain. You stole it. It's been
Stole it from
dry here.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Margie's here. I want to go back to Michael Maj's comment. What if you're a big buff muscle dude, still small? Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about body types, right? I mean, I don't think
Hey, everybody is beautiful,
yeah, I don't
especially our audience.
I don't think anybody expects Justin or Ray to ever be as big as me. And I mean, Ray had some extra pounds on him and stuff like that, but he's still never even close to my size. And I kind of look at it like playing to strengths. Like Justin would come into my house and he'd be doing pull-ups and chin-ups like a freaking machine. And it's like, I'm not going to do that. I mean, even though I'm the one that has the chin-up bar. So, uh, you know, uh, I think, when it comes to being active, you get on the diet that's right for you, presumably something carnivore-ish, meat-based. And then you're going to want to do things. So you're going to play to your strengths. I know Margie, she lifts pretty much every day. She walks every day or mostly every day. And, you know, Justin, you were typically doing your X3 bar. What else were you doing in the gym when you would go to the gym?
Um, what was I doing? It's been a minute.
Were you
Cas.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so when you're using your X3 bar, which movements are you doing?
Oh, the squat, overhead press, chest
Mhm.
press, what's it called? Rows, pull rows, or whatever it's called. Yeah, just like 4 or 5 movements. Tricep pulls or like skull crushers. Yeah.
So, and then let's talk about eating style, right? I mean, I basically just eat so I can lift as much as possible, right? I mean, I'm prioritizing protein on a level that, probably your average even carnivore doesn't do. We talk all the time about high fat versus low fat versus high protein and so on and so forth. And those are kind of arbitrary terms as far as I'm concerned, because when I start talking to people and I find out exactly what they're eating, I've said this a million times. It's like, well, they adjusted their fat intake by 5%, and all of a sudden they went from high to low or something. And I'm like, I don't know if if that's an accurate way to describe it, but I I want to just lift and lift to see how big how much I can lift. I'm really prioritizing strength over muscle volume. So it's not really so much bodybuilding as strength training, right? But for me, still that's eating as much protein as I can, really. I mean, a lot of protein for me is like 600 grams in a day, which is a tremendous amount of meat. So, and I don't do that every day. And I've been doing the egg experiment lately. So I'm still working my way through that to see what happens. So, and you're not eating so you can lift, right? Justin?
Yeah, no. No, I'm not eating so I can lift. No, I would say
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I'm eating to eat. I don't know how else to describe it.
Exactly, right? That's
Yeah.
the difference. And you're just eating to eat, and you're like, oh, this looks good, that looks good. You gotta incorporate another person in your kitchen, right?
Right.
So um you work from home.
Right.
I commute. I do a lot of advanced meal prep while Justin's camera's freezing. And
Only while my camera is freezing? Wow, that's pretty impressive.
I'm trying to be efficient and use my spare time
Ah.
effectively. So yeah, so there's differences in how we approach what we eat and how much we eat and when we eat. How many times a day you typically eat?
Twice on average, twice. Yeah. It depends on how you count meal or whatever. Because, so like this morning, I've been trying to eat. Well, I'm trying to move, so I'm trying to eat what's in my uh, my storage freezer or whatever. And so I've had like these frozen meat sticks, the ones we had while we were on vacation. I'd frozen a bunch of them, and so
Mm.
I ate like one of those this morning because I'm like, I have to eat these, otherwise, like the thing about like being carnivore and buying snack food, because jerky is kind of like a snack food or whatever, right? Is that unless it's visible, you will just not think of it and not eat it. That's pretty much what happened to this jerky until I froze it, and it's like, okay, I need to purposefully each day at least eat one because I've got like 12 sticks or whatever.
Yeah, and that batch of those meat sticks that was here when you left is
Yeah.
still sitting in the bottom of my fridge.
Right, exactly.
And I know they're there, but you know what? And it's not that they don't taste good, but
Right,
it's not my favorite food. I
right.
probably
No,
should
no.
just do like you do and eat like one a day till they're gone, because otherwise they're just gonna spoil,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
But
exactly. And the packaging doesn't lend itself to like keeping, like
mm,
once it's open, like that's
yeah,
it, pretty
they start
much.
drying out. Yeah.
R-
So now your audio and video froze. Okay, you're back. So
Hooray.
let's see. Margie asks, I was wondering how easy can I lift 160 pounds? I think she's probably talking about deadlift, because I think she's about 5'8", and I can't imagine her benching that much. Justin, do you bench 160?
No, I haven't.
What do you
At
weigh?
least not in a long time.
What do you weigh? About a buck 40,
Yeah,
and you're
5'7".
5'7". Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think so bench press number one. What's the thing that I discovered when I was talking to you and Joe about bench pressing?
That nobody knows how to do it properly.
Yeah, that's number one. You got to have the right form. I was surprised, and then I started paying attention. Oh, here's Sly. Hi, Sly.
Hey, Sly.
Nice to see you. When you doing a bench press, whether you're flat or incline, decline, you got to learn how to do it. If let's say we'll just talk about flat bench pressing, and I'm sure somebody out there is going to argue with me, but you kind of got to do that thing where you dig your shoulders into the bench, like pinch your shoulder blades together, and that stabilizes your shoulders so you don't injure your shoulders, but it also gives you more leverage. And then you arc your body up so that you're resting on your shoulders and like your butt, and then your feet on the floor. And then you're way more stable, and two, you have more leverage to lift because you're basically using your whole torso to lift. I mean, you're really lifting with your shoulders, but the rigidity of your entire body allows you to utilize all that strength and not injure your shoulders. Shoulder injuries and bench press are actually really common. Anybody who's been hanging out with people who bench press know that. So that's one thing, is the technique. I think if you're on Instagram, I think the video I was looking at with you guys was that unicorn adventures of a unicorn. She's this crazy weightlifter chick with crazy hair. She's pretty interesting to watch, but she was doing it right. And it's interesting because I'm at the gym, I see lots of new people come in and they clearly don't have any idea how to bench press. And then I was wondering, like, I wonder if they want a tip or something. And then the other day I saw this really young guy come in. I would be surprised if he was more than 16, 17 years old. I saw him doing it right. And he was a small guy. But he was clearly doing it right. And he was clearly lifting more than he was built. He was smaller than Justin for sure. And much younger, but he knew how to do it right. And I was like, okay, so there are people out there who know how to do it right, so.
Or maybe he just changed gyms.
Yeah, I'm sure he was lifting before he got there, because he was lifting a significant amount of weight for somebody his size. And that's the other thing about lifting is it's got to be proportional to your size. I mean, unless you're a super athlete, you see some of these girls lifting, and they're deadlifting 3 times their body weight, sometimes a little more. That's amazing. So that's a lot of work. That's not your average person who goes to the gym a couple times a week. That's somebody who's really super focused on it. So if you can deadlift twice your body weight, that's impressive. 1.5 times. But if you can do one, just your body weight, then that's great. So, but that's, that too is kind of in the realm of people who focus on lifting, as opposed to people who just go do general stuff to stay fit. If you're going to do a lot of treadmill or swimming or elliptical work or something like that, as opposed to lifting, you're probably not going to be able to maximize your lift.
Well, and let's not discount the power of 20-pound dumbbells, right? You can do a lot with just a couple of 20-pound dumbbells.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I think in Margie's case, she's just looking to lift more than she is, because she likes to lift. She lifts a lot. She lifts regularly, at least. Anyways, I'm sure she lifts like at least 3-4 times a week, maybe 5 times a week. So that's different than somebody who lifts once in a while and does a bunch of other stuff. So let's see. Michael Marsh says he's 6'4", 155 pounds. Just got a new job so I can afford to get into a gym. Well, there you go. My first rule is, when you start the gym, don't hurt yourself, because that's never fun, and that's always a big setback. So
use lightweight. Nothing wrong with using lightweight. Get form down, form. 100%.
Yeah, let's talk about warming up real quick. So, to a lot of people, warming up is stretching a bunch, and A little bit of stretching is probably fine, but I don't stretch at all. I warm up by lifting a lighter set, sometimes two. I consider my first two sets throwaways. And I know for sure that, like, if I warm up on a little bit lighter weight, then when I get to my second or third set, then I'm lifting in that zone, where typically for most people it works best if you're doing sets at about 80% of your max. So, like, if you could do one set at, say, 100 pounds, then you want to probably be working out at about 80 pounds, just roughly. And you fine tune that. Um, and then how much do you want to work out, or do you want to try and optimize your increase in strength? Because if you go to Bart and you say, Bart, what's the most efficient way to gain strength? He's going to say, do 2 sets of 8 at a max set of 8. So I call them crazy eights. So crazy eights are when you can do 8 repetitions and no more, right? And so Bart would tell you the science says do 2 sets at 2 sets of crazy eights. That's all you need to do. Now, if you're like me, you're like, I got to do more. So when I go in,
And Bart would also say every other day, don't lift.
Yeah, he would never. Yeah, he would say that work and lifting every day is contraindicated by the evidence. So, but when I go to the gym, I work on something different every day, right? So, like last night was back night, and back night is almost as exhausting as leg day. So, your legs are big. You got all your big muscles in your legs, particularly the posterior chain. Your glutes and hams and all that are big. So when you really work them out, you expend a lot of energy and there's a lot of recovery compared to just doing, let's say, biceps and triceps, which are considerably smaller. But then today it would have been leg day, and I went to the gym and I was not feeling it. So I'm like, maybe I should go record with Justin and come back afterward and see if I get my game together. But even for me, like once or twice a month, I will go into the gym, and it's like, it's not clicking for some reason. I'm not sure why. So it could be because I've been tinkering with my diet and trying my experiment, see what's going on with that. But which has gotten complicated because the egg supply is erratic, to say the least. So, and then the amount of time it takes to crack 30 eggs at a time, it's mind numbing. Just I couldn't tell you how many eggs I've cracked in the last 2 weeks. I mean, just piles and piles of empty eggshells. And then all of a
Are you
sudden,
throwing them in the yard? Compost, man.
I haven't.
And that's another project to get compost going.
Exactly. And that last night I was cracking eggs, and I was like, I really should be putting these in the garden or something. Somebody wants these eggshells, and I'm like, putting them in the yard or finding somebody who wants them is a whole nother step I don't have time for. So my trash can is just full of eggshells. And it's like, what a waste. And it was not easy getting all these eggs to begin with, So it's gotten complicated because, like, I think eating all those eggs is a little too much fat for me. It's a little more than I'm used to as far as a fat to protein ratio. So then I was like, well, let me thin it down with some egg whites. And there's no egg whites available right now. So that means I would have to crack all these eggs, separate the yolks, which I'm already having trouble getting eggs, So I'm like, well, how can I add some protein to this? So then I'm like, well, all right, I'm just going to get some whey isolate and mix it in. So that's what I was doing today. So maybe that threw me off too. I was like trying to drink 30 eggs. 30 eggs worked out to be about 6 cups, which over the day isn't that hard. And then I'm like, that's like half amount of food I need in a day. So then I still got to work in, another 2,000 calories worth of meat or something. Well, some kind of meat, right?
Maybe you need raw eggs and chicken breast.
Well, and it was just last night when I was cracking all these eggs. I'm like, hey, we never did that chicken chug contest, and I'm like, maybe I need to cook some chicken breasts and put them in the blender, which is a whole nother process I'm not looking forward to. So we'll see. We'll see. But, uh, most people, like, let's say, Michael Maj, he's 155 pounds. He's pretty lean. So he's probably going to need, I mean, if he wants to lift or Marge wants to lift, I'm not going to talk about a girl's weight. I'm not gonna out Margie and say how much she weighs, but they're gonna want at least 100 grams of protein, right? And a piece of steak is mostly water, so they're gonna have to eat a lot of steak or ground beef or something and get that protein in. So and they may want to even double that. It's not a common, like when I was talking to Jonathan Griffith, and he was talking about a girl he knows who lifts, and she's up there on 200 grams of protein a day. So, so yeah, if you want to do it, if you want to lift more, I think that's 9/10 of it is, you gotta put enough protein in your body to build more muscle. And if you're doing it, and it's hard to optimize because in the old days it was thought that every time you lift you're tearing down some muscle tissue, you're getting micro tears or whatever, and then when you go to sleep at night that has to be rebuilt. And now it kind of seems like you don't necessarily have to damage muscle tissue, and it's probably more efficient if you don't and just grow new muscle tissue or additional muscle tissue. So and that's one of the advantages of things like the X3 bar and using the resistance training a la elastic bands as opposed to heavy weights. So it does allow, but of course, people tend to outgrow the X3 bar if they're religious about it. So I know that black band is supposed to max out at like 600 pounds resistance or something like that. And I think my arms are too short to get even close to 600 pounds. So I don't know, but it sure didn't feel like 600 pounds. So,
yeah, I did have to buy the like shorter bands so that I could do some of the exercises with enough resistance and things like that. So modifications, yeah, there are modifications to be made. Certainly not a perfect system. Certainly will not make you look like, Sylvester Stallone or Schwarzenegger. But those guys, but it's really hard to look like them. No one looks like them anyway. So
that X3 bar is really well made, and it's convenient, it's compact, it's very high quality, but it's not necessarily if lifting's your goal, it's not necessarily all you need for lifting. I think it's definitely a good entry point for people to get started, because your chances of injuring yourself with a device like that are a lot lower than like free weights or even machines. So
yeah, I've learned form so well using the X3. That's probably like the most beneficial thing for me. And, coming off car accidents, injuries, and things like that, I think it's great for people that have had a previous injury that are starting out, things like that. So,
if you want to start an argument at the gym, be in the weight room and mention the X3 bar, and everybody like, oh man, that's not near as good as free weights. Man, free weights are so much superior. Even the girls were giving me a hard time, like, well, X3 bar, what? And I'm like, no. So I had to make a big argument for it. Yeah. So let me get back to Margie's comments. She said her goal is about 140 grams of protein per day, which sounds reasonable. And then I'll just say, Sly said, I pick things up and put things down. Yes, she does. And if you've ever seen some of Sly's videos, she does a good job of getting those compound movements in. So, and then Margie's asking what an X3 bar is. So an X3 bar is a product by Dr. Jakish. It's basically a metal bar with hooks on the end, and then a series of bands, and then like a platform, right, that you can stand on or put against your back, and you can simulate like bench press and squats and all kinds of different exercises with this unit. So yeah, it's a neat product. It's not inexpensive. There aren't they like $500-600 or something like that?
They're 500, yeah.
Yeah.
But typically Black Friday they take $100 off a couple holidays here and there. Yeah.
Yep. So and Michael Mosh says he made his poor man's version of the X3 bar with a large acrylic cutting board and resistance band. So there you go. Yeah, Justin's seen my poor man's X3 bar, which is maybe not so much poor man's as larger man's X3 bar. So I have like a giant platform on the ground with D rings on it, and then this won't mean much to most people, but it's like 1.5 DOM tube with quarter wall DOM tube with custom bungs welded in the end, and every band I could find during COVID, like when the gyms were closed and gym equipment was gone, like everything was bought. So I was scrounging up every kind of elastic band I could, and I was, doing overhead press and squats and stuff with this giant bar, because that bar is probably 5 feet long, and an X3 bar is probably 3 feet long, something like that.
It might even be a little less than that, honestly.
Yeah, and I use a great big thick walled piece of steel tubing that you make like suspension components out of for off-road trucks and stuff like that, like super heavy duty shit, because I had it laying around, and I was stuck at home going, I want to work out, I don't have any gym equipment. I don't have much. I have some gym equipment, I don't have a lot. So I was improvising just like Michael Mosh did. So, but it was better than nothing. It was challenging, wasn't it, Justin?
Oh yeah, I didn't get my revenge on it on vacation, but one of these times I'm back, I will conquer it.
Christina says she's up to 175 grams of protein a day. Now sometimes up to 200. I lift kettlebells, chains, and other stuff every day. I'm now 5'6" and 145. Well, there you go. And I'm glad to see another person lifting, because I don't know why everybody doesn't want to lift every day, because it's the best. But yeah, I use chains and stuff too, random stuff like I don't know if anybody's seen like progressive loading bars where they put chains on them, but sometimes at the gym, there's no chains at the gym I go to, so I put the elastic bands on. Oh, so Christina's getting the muscle gain. Good for you.
Awesome.
Should we
Hey,
talk?
one of the best correlated things with longevity, increasing that muscle percentage. So awesome job.
Yeah. So when you use your muscles, whether you're a runner or a lifter or whatever, and you use them regularly, your body, well, I say your body, but your mitochondria increase in the muscle tissue. So the more energy you want to put through that muscle, the more mitochondria you need. So the more mitochondria you got, the more you can lose when times are rough, right? When you get sick or whatever. So the more muscle you have, the more protected your bones are, the more protected your joints are. Because you think about it, your muscles that overlap the joints help secure the joints, so you're not just dependent on the connective tissue other than muscle, right? And then we like to talk about that scenario we've heard so much about. It's like when you're over 55, which really isn't that far away from me. If you fall and break a hip, you got almost a 50-50 chance of being dead within a year, just from the trauma of the hip repair and the lack of mobility. So being strong and agile, I mean, you can fall, and if you've got plenty of muscle and you fall, you're much less likely to break a hip, because the muscles protecting the bones and the joints in general. They maintain the geometry of the joint during the impact. And then on top of that, if you eat plenty of protein, like we mentioned many times, bones are mostly made out of collagen. Collagen is a protein, and we get that from eating meat. So you want to have good, dense bones. You got to exercise, bounce around, eat lots of protein, and then hopefully you won't fall and break a hip when you're 55 or older.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Sean Baker, if he fell down, would break, well, anything. I think he
Well,
might break the floor
yeah, there
if
you
he fell
go.
down.
Sean's got to be 55 by now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no worry of that dude tripping on the rug and falling down and breaking a hip. Seems very unlikely. So
I'd like to see the the floor or whatever he hit if it did that.
yeah, so that's good. I'm glad to see Christina excited about muscle gain. So yeah, I'm always shooting for that hat trick where I go up a shirt size and down a pant size in the same like 3 month period. That's how I measure success. I don't even count weights, you know. It's like when I go in, it's just I'm putting plates on the bar, let's say. It's like, oh, can I do a little more? Yep, put a little more on. But the other day I was doing bench press on the Smith machine. You know, I'd do a set and then I'd go to another machine and do it at a different angle, and another one, and then come back. And then we came back to this, and I'm pressing, and I'm like, it like felt funny. I was like, what the hell's going on? Somebody put more weights on one side when I wasn't looking. I was like, did they do that on purpose, or is that just some lazy person who just, oh, here's a convenient spot to hang some weights? So, yeah, Margie had both hips replaced. So let's see. She said, well, I lost both hips to lack of nutrition, but now I'm working with what I have. So, yeah, double hip replacement for Margie, and she still lifts every day. So there you go, folks. Yeah, I think she had hip dysplasia of all things. She's part German Shepherd, so it happens. You don't feed your German Shepherd right, you get hip dysplasia. So, anyways, I wanted to talk about brain energy. Oh,
I don't think we ever talked about the
let's
first.
get back to the folate. So Michaela Peterson says her folate levels are low, and of course, my usual comment is, well, how do you know what a carnivore's folate level should be?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. We know a lot of the dietary guidelines or the blood levels, let's say, is probably a better way to say it. They were kind of those numbers are all just kind of compiled from people uh, in the field, let's say, that said, well, when it gets below this level, we see this happen or that happen, right? So it's not like those numbers are written in stone. And so my question to her, which I should probably go find that post and ask her, is like, well, do you have any symptoms of low folate? You know. So of course the question is, what what are the symptoms of low folate? So we should probably look that up and ask her. So what did you think about our post?
Well, yeah, but the first thing that came to mind was how arbitrary these RDAs or recommended daily amounts are in the first place. So, like you touched on that. Uh, my other thoughts were, well, test and retest, right? And just like testosterone, just like many of these levels,
Mm,
have one bad night's sleep, you can have a drop, you know. You can't really, it's a very, all blood tests are just a moment in time of what your blood looked like
good point.
at that moment of taking the blood, right?
Mhm.
Not to mention any possible number of errors in the processing of the blood until they get the results to you, etc. um, but so it's just this, I don't know if I'd call it like hysteria necessarily, but you get people oftentimes on the internet get one bad test result and they think they have to, she's like, oh, maybe I need to incorporate liver now. It's like you got one test, one result.
And she's got one test result out of all of them that's a little out of whack, right? Everything
Right.
else is fine.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And so it's like, is that the right response here? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe she's right. A person's never going to be able to encapsulate everything in one post, right? I think she's going to do a YouTube video about it as well.
yeah,
Um,
maybe we should hit her with a bunch of questions and then she'll put them in a video or something.
but she did also speak how she was just coming out of having the flu, and being ill can affect blood tests, obviously, as well. So my big takeaway from it was, oh, okay. And her thing is she feels bad, I think, because she promotes heavily that you don't need organs and that you can just eat steak and be awesome, right? And then you have another problem, someone like Sean Baker, which he eats some eggs, but I think he's like 95% just ribeye steaks or something like
Oh,
that.
he eats like a dozen a day.
A dozen eggs a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's it, because I know eggs do have folate, and some people were
Yeah.
commenting
Egg
that,
yolks too. Yeah, for
egg
sure.
yolks have
Mhm.
folate. And so,
So does steak, by the way. It's like 7
right.
milligrams per 7 micrograms per gram or something like that.
Now we know she also tends to be lamb heavy, or she'd been really lamb heavy the last
Mm,
couple of years, and I'm not quite sure about the folate in lamb.
I think
How
she
much?
said she had been sticking with steak, salt, and water recently. So
Yeah, but how recent and all that stuff, right? So I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm never going to say someone's experience is wrong or anything like that. But I think we have a reasonable question and questions to ask when we see these things. And I wish some of these people, now I get she's trying to be responsible. She's trying to be like, hey, community, all these people I've led, this might be a problem for you. Hey, go check this out. Um, Personally, I feel like it would be better if she had like a first test and a second test before making a post. She could do what she wants. I get that. But I feel like that'd be more responsible in my eyes, rather than one test and then just kind of having what I think might be a little bit of an overreaction. We don't know what her symptoms are, if she, truly clinically low in folate. Um, right. A lot of family stress.
I kind of like the fact that she's just honest. She's like, oh yeah, I got my blood
Yeah.
work done on one of my folate's low, and then I think the conversation around that is the important thing. Like, well, is it meaningful? Is it because you had the flu? Is it because you ate lamb? I don't know. I didn't even think to look up to see how much folate's in lamb. So,
I
but it's
just
like
ate lamb like 20 minutes ago. So I guess it was on
and
my
that's why
mind.
you were late.
That's why I was late. Yeah.
You're eating lambs.
I was eating my little lamb. Yeah.
The tastiness of the lambs. That's
Tastiness of the
your
lamb. The
excuse.
silence of the lambs.
Yeah, they're silent now.
They're silent now.
Other than
Well,
your
they were actually
stomach.
silent before I cooked them, to be fair.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So the last time I got my blood work done wasn't that long ago. Um, the doctor's like, "Well, yeah, everything is normal," and then of course I started complaining. So, and my first question was, it's like back to the testosterone thing. My doctor's like, "Well, it's normal," and again, the thing I'm like, "Well, I want to talk to the endocrinologist." Of course, I got to run this. I got to beat this dead horse, and so I'm talking to him, and he's like, "It's like it's normal." It's not normal by Joe Rogan standards or whatever, but it's guys like Ben Greenfield would be like, "Oh no, it's got to be 100 times that or whatever." So I'm talking to the endocrinologist, and he's like, "Well," he's like, "Do you have erectile dysfunction? No. Do you have gynecomastia? No. Do you have?" He was rattling off all the stuff. He's like, "Well, see, you have a normal blood test and no symptoms. So what's the problem here?" I'm like, "Well, I want to be superhuman like all the celebrities, of course." So it went nowhere, and he thought I was insane. So, you know. So yeah, I mean, you get your blood work done, everything comes back normal. and then you want to know how you can get more out of life. Still,
Well, I mean, I always talk about how before carnivore, having chronic sinus infections and having horrible chronic migraines, and my blood test coming back normal, and it's like, okay, well, so I'm not ill, but I'm suffering all these ailments. Okay,
yeah, and maybe
interesting.
whatever causes a migraine is it's something they're picking up in a blood panel, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
So I'm pretty distrustful about bloods. I'll go have them done, just to show people I'm not dying or whatever, or maybe something else. I don't know.
And I do get that question frequently from non-carnivores. When you guys post your blood work? And yeah, I think every time we get blood work done, we talk about it in a video, and it's like, but it's not conveniently posted for the vegans and stuff like that. So they're like, well, we're too ADD to find it, so you obviously didn't post it. So it's like, all right, whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, there's so much carnivore blood work out there now. There's doctors that do it regularly, um, low carb, etc. So, yeah, I mean, I think she should maybe work with somebody like Kinberry, hit up Bart K, you know, get another opinion. This is the
Well,
whole
and the only opinion she has is a notation on a piece of paper, right?
right. Yeah,
I think she's fine.
yeah. I think she's fine as well.
Maybe she eats. I don't know. Can she could if she's not allergic, maybe she just eat some eggs, and then the number will go to normal, and then she can sleep better. But
Well, I mean, at worst, I think both of us more or less advocate for a mixed animal diet, right? I don't think me and you have necessarily been, I mean, occasionally salt steak and water, but not, well, you like your sausage patties, you like chili with some ground beef, you like, you go
yeah,
out
but
to
I go.
eat on occasion.
I can go a couple 3 months without eating any sausage or anything, and it's just
Oh yeah.
sirloin, 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 sirloin. And then they put ribeyes on sale, and then it's like, oh, ribeye, ribeye, ribeye. And then, which is sad because I mean, ribeye is a great cut, but I don't eat. I can't eat all that fat. It's a little too much.
Yeah, but like 3 months. But I mean, the lion diet is purposefully for a year plus of salt, steak,
Yeah,
water, more or less.
less sashimi than we prefer.
Right. Yeah. And hey, credit to them, and it works. And I've essentially been there. I did like a 6 month stint, in my beginning, more or less, where I had everything and was just doing steaks for a while, and it's awesome and it's delicious. Nothing wrong with it, you know. Um, I just, there's not many people that do that for life. I don't think, or like 5 years straight, without like a egg, without a thing of cheese, without, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not saying that's a cause or anything, but she still looks good. She's great. I think she's able to accomplish all of her tasks, all that. I know, just like me and Tom, she struggles to sleep. I think it's just those people that, well, are kind of hyperactive, that always have something going on, that always feels like, we were probably, our ancestors were the first to wake up when the tribe got attacked or something.
Yeah, well,
Maybe my family were the ones running away. We were a bit smaller. Tom's family, go up in the front and defend the tribe.
you're probably who your family was running from. I mean, come on, let's be honest here. So, anyways, yeah. So now we talk about brain energy.
Sure, why not?
In case you guys haven't heard, which I'm pretty sure everybody listening has, Dr. Christopher Palmer came out with a book called Brain Energy.
A month ago? Has it been a month?
It was before Christmas, I think. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, Sly, I'll save the extra fat and send it to you.
There
How
you
about
go.
that?
Freeze it, send it over. Yeah, we need some kind of carnivore steak exchange program where like you just take the parts that you want, you send
What
it to
about clothes? I mean,
another.
Christina made a comment she had to go up a pant size so she could get her quads and glutes in. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I hate wearing pants because the like the pants rip all the hair off my legs because like my calves and my quads stick out, and then the pants are tight right there. And then I get bald spots on my legs from that, and it drives me. And like conventional Levi's, like a straight denim, non-stretch denim, not going to happen. They don't make pants in my size for my legs. It's just I'd have to have somebody build custom pants. There's no two ways about it.
You need like the Wallace and Gromit pants. That's what you need.
Yeah, let me kill this. Sorry. Um, Wallace and Gromit pants. I'm gonna have to look that up because I'm not recognizing. I don't remember what Wallace and Gromit pants look like, but
It's
but
the European claymation show.
I know I've seen it. I just don't remember
The
the pants. Pants
yeah.
don't. I don't remember the pants being the focal point. I
Yeah,
remember
well,
the. I
it's
remember
up.
going to the moon to get some Stilton, but I don't remember the pants.
Shout out to Wallace and Gromit. Just throwing that out there. There you go. We should be I can be Gromit, and you should be Wallace for Halloween.
Okay,
We're gonna be Gromit.
when I get the right pants. So, yeah. I was talking about pants, and now I lost my place. Thank you. Had to go
brain,
Wallace and Gromit.
brain energy. Chris Palmer came out about 2 months ago, according to Sly.
Yeah, so it's a great book. He, Christopher Palmer is a psychiatrist from Harvard. He's treated a lot of patients with treatment-resistant psychiatric issues, and he was very frustrated with the lack of conciseness with using pharmaceuticals to treat people, shall we say? Like,
Well,
you know,
pharmaceuticals and just talk therapy as well. Yeah, the
yeah,
failure rate of like 90% or something. Yeah.
yeah. So he put a fellow that was in rough shape. The guy he thought the guy would really be helped by losing some weight because he really wanted to. So tried him on a keto diet. Dr. Palmer himself had success with the Atkins diet. I think I don't even know if he mentioned that in the book, but he mentioned it in his other videos. And lo and behold, he found out that this patient was schizophrenic, was having a much better quality of life, needed less medication, and so on and so forth. And so that kind of launched him. And the book talks quite a bit about mitochondrial function and the influence of both the pharmacological agents and the diet, everything we eat and drink, all the different receptors and mediating activity in the brain, and so on and so forth. And of course, my contention's all been along has been the reason why carnivore works is because the mitochondrial function throughout the body improves, right?
Yeah, less inflammation, certainly less damaging than plants and sugar. So, yeah,
Well, we could talk all day long about just blood sugar control, right? That's a
right.
staple in the carnivore keto community, but on a smaller scale, but perhaps a more influential scale is the mitochondrial function, right? So, and yeah, when you eat more carbohydrates, then the mitochondria tend to produce more reactive oxygen species or more oxidative stress. And recent studies showed that they actually produce. Yeah, I'm down for kilts, Christina. Sorry, everybody, but um, the toxic byproduct of metabolizing or respiration to make ATP produces more reactive oxygen species and is damaging to the mitochondria. And the recent study showed that mitochondria make more energy from fat than they do from carbohydrates. So what should be an equivalent amount of energy that can be made from carbohydrate, which would be a greater dose of carbohydrate than fat, because fat, more calories, the imperfect heat unit of calories applied. We find that mitochondria are more efficient at producing ATP when you feed them fat. So, no surprise that we could see that function even in heart muscle. Heart muscle runs better on fat than it does on carbohydrates. So you can study the the amount of work a muscle like heart muscle can do, and it's not much of a stretch to think that the brain would function more efficiently and more precisely as it should by feeding it fat. And of course, parts of the brain do need glucose, but it's better to just let the body make its own glucose rather than eating a bunch of sugar, right?
Yeah, most doubt. I was just, getting the overall body, well, it's what we're built for, right? We're built to just eat the meat. So, of course, our body's going to function best that way.
So ADS is here. Hello, ADS. And he says many carnivore dieters ignore linoleic acid to their detriment. Carnivore diet can still be high in linoleic acid, which damages mitochondrial function. So the world of mitochondrial function is very complicated. There's a lot to it. In fact, I'm going through another book on mitochondrial function. What's called?
Isn't it sex, suicide, and something else?
Yeah, it's called. It's like power, sex, and suicide.
Something like that. Yeah.
So it gets pretty deep in the weeds on mitochondrial function, mitochondrial evolution. Let's pull it up here. It's called Power, Sex, Suicide by Nick Lane.
Good night, Margie. Have a nice night. Sweet
He's
dreams.
punching
Take
out
care.
on us already. How dare you? How dare you, Margie? There'll be spankings and consequences. So, anyways, Power, Sex, and Suicide, Mitochondria, and the Meaning of Life by Nick Lane. So there you go. Yeah, if you want to dive deeper into mitochondrial function, there you have it. There's a lot. There's a lot there, a lot to unpack. And again, I already listened to the Brain Energy book 3 times. So I'm slow on the uptake. So
Just to Steelman ADS's point, I think what ADS is pointing to is uh, not grass-fed ruminants, as well as pork and fowl fed an improper diet. The omega-6 to omega-3 ratios, these animals being fed a lot of soy, etc. You eat the fat and muscle of the animal. By the transitive property, you end up absorbing the linoleic acid and thus possibly causing dysfunction. I'm not sold on that whole idea yet myself necessarily. Uh, some people do seem to have an issue eating non-grass fed or non-organic, not the holy meat. uh, Other people like me and Tom, and who knows, 50 years down the line, right? We don't know, I suppose. But we buy our meat from the uh, we'd buy meat from the gas station if the price was right, pretty much. Basically, to put
don't
it.
tell people that. I have an electric car. I don't go to those gas stations.
Yeah, and I just haven't seen enough evidence personally to convince me of it being a se- severe worry in uh what would you say, compared to all the other issues that can go wrong with food. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, for people who like to, so linoleic acid is the omega-6, right?
Yeah, right.
And then that's always been one of the complaints is that with all the vegetable oil, the linoleic acid in our diet is much higher than it probably would have been in more primitive times, right? So linoleic acid can be inflammatory, and then of course, like everything, it can affect mitochondrial function. So, anyways, I don't know. Good debate for in autistic carnivores. We typically have habits of posting these types of studies as we find them, and then discussing them. So if people want to get deep in the weeds on that, you could do it there. We could start doing it in Meat Mosaic too. If you guys, I don't know how many people here want to actually read studies and talk about them, but it's usually a very
Night,
select.
Sly. Great to see you. Thanks for coming here.
Sly's bowing out on us too. Oh my god, I'm offended. How dare you? So yeah, so and then what is the optimal ratio, right? When exactly does linoleic acid present as a problem to mitochondrial function? There's always context. That's the thing. How much and when, right?
And how many typical pigs fed plastic do you have to eat before it becomes a problem? I don't
Yeah.
know. But you're still better off than playing how many licks to get to the bottom of a Tootsie Pop. So,
Yep. But that'd be interesting. I mean, because there are a few people that eat mostly pork, but then, well, what's their source of the pork, right?
right.
I know, like the last pork I ate was wild game, so probably not particularly high in linoleic acid. So
Yeah. So, something to look out for. I'm not saying that it's not a concern. I'm just saying I'm not convinced for myself personally of something for me to worry about. I mean, I eat
well, yeah, I
some.
put it in that category with slightly low folate level. Not overly concerned, curious but not concerned. Let's say.
I mean, I've put worse in my body so than linoleic acid, I'm sure. Um, but again, none of us are going to live forever. Unless
That's
you,
your excuse. That's your go-to. Hey, we're not gonna
unless,
live forever anyway. So if we eat a little extra pork chop,
well, I feel like in our community, our best, how do you say, mantra is quality of life, not longevity necessarily. Because low carb people, carnivore people have a tendency to die in weird accidents. You have the bear from a car crash, and you have what's his name from Atkins slip on ice and crack his head.
Dr. Atkins from Atkins,
Right, doctor. Yeah. So
it's
not
two examples. And we
yeah.
lost anyone else.
There's a few more of them out there, just like because we're adventurous people, right? Plus, they tend to be men as well, and we're just unmarried men. We'll go jump off a roof. Like it doesn't even matter. I don't know where I was going with this. That's all I got.
That's all you got. Well, we've been banging away for over an hour already. So you want to wrap her up?
Yeah, sure. Was there anything else about brain energy you wanted to talk about?
No,
I'm
I
on
just
chapter 2 of my first read through. I plan on getting it finished through the week, so we'll
we
have
can
my
dip into it again next weekend. Maybe we'll
next
start a
weekend.
little earlier. We seem to be losing a lot of people because it's late where they are. So maybe we'll even start a little earlier next week, and we could talk more brain energy.
And maybe we can have a special guest or two.
Sure,
A
I'm
crossover episode.
sure we can find some peeps.
Some peeps.
Come on,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, for another Meat Mosaic. I had fun. Tom, did you have fun?
I did. It was good seeing everybody. I really enjoy seeing everybody pop in. Sly and Margie and ADS and Christina and Kevin Smith and see. I know somebody else was here, wasn't it? I know Raymond Neff. He's probably at a concert somewhere. I didn't
Or a
see.
football game.
I didn't see.
He had great seats to the Raiders. Was it the Raiders versus the Seahawks or something? I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had great seats. It was like, man, it's killer.
I was at my buddy Jim's house, and his son and his strange ex-wife were at the hockey game in Las Vegas, and we saw him on the camera.
Oh, it's fun.
And then we saw his kid try and throw his hat on the ice. He didn't quite make it. So.
Oh no.
It was interesting. So. All right. Yeah, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. leave us
Please
a comment.
Let us know what you want us to jabber on about next week.
Talk about linoleic acid. We could start that conversation up. I'm always willing to get
let's
in
find
there.
out more about linoleic acid. Read Brain Energy. Let us know what you think. And until next time,
Eat some meat.
Feel
better. And whatever you
do,
don't fall down the
linoleic acid hole.
carb hole.